This is a TalkStation original podcast.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Tyndall, and I am the chair and co-founder of FISHIN for a Cure. We are a nonprofit organization that was originally formed in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, but has expanded across the state with our events and programming and impact. Our vision is every catch counts, and our mission is to make a difference with individuals battling breast cancer through fishing, fun, and fellowship. And we are getting into our busy season, if you call it, gearing up for our annual event in October, where we are able to bring together a group of people, all ages, kids and family friendly, to provide hope and to provide fellowship for those who may be battling cancer, but also to come together and raise funds because we are really passionate about our Hope Fund, which is a private entity that we support through our organization. And we have applicants who apply to the Hope Fund. They can receive up to $2,500 and utilize it for anything that they so desire. Our board reviews applications and votes. And I am honored beyond belief to have Lindsay Rogers with us today. She is a survivor. She's also a thriver, and she is a recipient of the Hope Fund through FISHIN for a Cure. And really excited to talk to her today to learn the impact of that money. Lindsay, thanks for being here. This is casual conversation for sure. When we talked to the talk station, they wanted someone with some energy. And I knew you'd be the first person to talk to. So I'm just going to ask questions, and I just want you to be as real as you are every time that we meet and talk. So just really appreciate you taking the time to meet and talk with us today. Part of our conversation, or the hope of our conversation, is really to kind of focus on the Hope Fund so that our donors and our sponsors recognize the importance of the Hope Fund and what it does. So I'm just going to ask some questions, and feel free just to tell it like it is. So we'll start with your personal story. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your breast cancer journey, how you first found out, and what it was like during those early days?
So nobody wants to hear the word cancer, right? So I got the diagnosis. I found it myself. So I felt the lump and everything. And I just had a mammogram in May. And this is only my second mammogram because I was 42 at diagnosis. And that's obviously when the insurance will allow you to get a mammogram is at 40.
Right.
So got my mammogram in May. And the following February, I felt a lump. And I just knew that it was growing. And I know for a fact, like sick tissue grows fast. So I waited a little bit and I noticed it was growing and I went in immediately and was able to get my biopsy because they were like, they found two places and then got the biopsy and all of that. And it was just unnerving because you're just scared, you fear the unknown and all of those things because, and they send you, it's like when you get cancer, you're top of the echelon of care.
Sure.
I had a call diagnosis was at the call, and then I went to meet with my oncologist and my general surgeon. That was a Wednesday. I had a port in on Monday and started chemo on Tuesday because I had the fast growing kind. HER2 triple positive was mine, which is Herceptin is the protein that is the fast aggressive type, and then it was fed both by estrogen and progesterone. So they wanted to start immediately, and I had won a work trip, and I'm like, I'm going here. I won this. I'm going. They're like, nope, you're not. So I had to be in the chemo chair, and that was fearful too because it was still like COVID protocol, no visitors. I'm like going by myself, and it was terrifying.
I think you transitioned to my next question was what was your biggest fear or worry when you were first diagnosed? But you have literally opened up the door of so many fears with the timing of your diagnosis and what was happening.
Yes, the fear of everything, just not knowing what's happening and the anxiety around all of it. And then, you got to go and do all these tests, MRIs, and things like that. And the MRI showed I had 7 tumors in one breast because it was bilateral. I mean, just on one side for me. knowing all that and how scary that is, and just once you get to your oncologist and get your treatment plan, it kind of gives you a peace of mind, and like going forward, like this is what we're going to do. They give you the comfort. Like obviously breast cancer is very common, unfortunately, and they treat it like we drink water. So I felt very comfortable with the treatment plan because every type out here is so different, and they know exactly what medications you're going to use, and what the chemo is going to be. And see, that was for me. I had to do chemotherapy. Taxotere, carboplatin, and Herceptin were the three drugs for me. And I did 6 of those treatments every 3 weeks. And then I had my double mastectomy and was able to see the tissue there, and determining if the tumors were gone or what, then they would get a medical plan for the future for the 21 treatments, which I was supposed to do for Herceptin. However, 3 of my tumors still had remnants after the chemo. So they changed me to a different medication, Kadcyla. And it's just a little Herceptin with a kick is what he told me. So that's what I did every 3 weeks. And I had a total of 15 months of treatment.
Lindsay, I know your connection, but I do want people to hear from your perspective the connection to Fishing for a Cure and the Hope Fund. So, how did you initially hear about the Hope Fund that we offer through Fishing for a Cure?
So my aunt Janice Rogers, she is a cancer survivor too, breast cancer, and she started this Fishing for the Cure and raising tons of money for all different kinds of funds. Earlier.org, which is huge for the early detection. We give to Little Pink Houses of Hope, and also to the KL Foundation. We raise a ton of money for that. They do a big fishing tournament every October. Tons of people show up for that, and they do all kind of events throughout the year to raise money, to find a cure.
Specifically, were one of the recipients from the Hope Fund. For someone who may not know what that support provided, could you tell us specifically what the support was used for in your case?
So the Hope Fund is fantastic, especially, I was able to use it and applied for it for the cold capping, which for chemotherapy patients, you lose your hair after about the second treatment. And the cold capping, which my cancer facility offered. However, it's not covered by insurance, which I beg to differ on that. But, us ladies, the worst thing is like losing our hair. The cold cap you wore during your treatments, and you pay for the treatments, like it gives you a treatment card. So for the first 6 chemos, which is why I had to wear the cold cap, or the ones that you needed to wear it for, and they charge you by the treatment. So you just have like treatment cards that go into the site's machine. And the company that is called DigniCap is where my cold cap was from, and that's what my site used. There you have an 8-hour day because you have to go in there and wet your hair down. The nurses have to put it on. You can't leave and take it off. You have to go out with it on. I look like Scuba Steve. I just embraced it and was like, okay, here we go. So the Hope Fund was able to help me with that $1,500 cost of the cold cap. That was great because, like I said, all the money that has gone into my health care, I think I'm the $1 million baby now. Honestly, with the surgeries and all the chemo, you sit in that chair every 3 weeks and it's around like $38,000.
Right.
And luckily I had insurance, but the insurance doesn't cover the cold cap. So the Hope Fund was awesome for that, and obviously can use it for any other expenses that you might incur as a cancer patient.
What did it mean to you emotionally? So we know what it did for you for the cold cap, but can you think about the emotional perspective of what the Hope Fund provided during that time?
Absolutely. So just by getting to have the cold cap, I felt like to myself, like people could look at me and tell like I'm not a cancer patient. That's what the cold cap gave me. However, if I would have lost my hair, it was going to be fine. I knew that there was like if you keep 50% of your hair, it's a win. I lost my hair along the hairline and all the way down to my sideburns. So I just looked like my hairline was back further, basically. But still, I would wear like headbands and try to mask it. But to me, like, it just gave me the sense, and like somebody could look at me and say like she's not sick. So
Mm.
that's what was great about the cold cap. And as far as like I have great support with friends and family, and with the Fishing for the Cure, definitely gave me that extra added layer of support. And some people who are not as fortunate to have this, have the support of their friends and family. This is a great organization, and that's what keeps me wanting to help and be a part of this going forward.
What would you want the people who donated to Fishing for a Cure know about the difference they've made in your life?
Once again, like having that support, and this just drives me to want to advertise and help people know about this, because this organization is able to help, whether it's a medication you're trying to get or whether you need assistance at home. Just everything is there, and you've got a group of people who are strangers that just latch on and just can help you. You're not alone in this process, because cancer doesn't discriminate. Homeless, none of it. So we never know.
Right. You
And
know,
I'm actually, yes, you got the bracelets.
I
Love
didn't
that.
I didn't realize how important your designer pink bracelet was. You were the spark for this bracelet when you were diagnosed, and I have worn it ever since you were diagnosed, and I've got my bracelet, and have provided this bracelet for other people and family members and friends. And so
Yes,
I,
I
I
love it.
appreciate the sass and the personality that you've always brought with tackling this journey that you've done, and so gracefully.
Well, you just need to stay positive, and you say like you want to be like fearless, but you're just like staying healthy, and the gratitude you have to have going into this. Although the fear is there, you just keep plugging forward, and you need a lot of support. I'm a positive person anyway, so I had a good attitude from the get-go, like I'm going to beat this. And some people don't have that, and it's tough. And now after I'm a survivor, my doctor has asked me to be a patient advocate for other patients. So I'm paired now with patients who are near my age, type of cancer, and type of treatment, to help them with like questions, like a buddy system. And I'm so fortunate that God has used me in that way to help others.
That's awesome. I didn't know that about that, Lindsay. That's great information. I have one more question, and then I'm gonna leave you with whatever you want to say. What does hope look like for you now?
Well, you don't want to be defined by your diagnosis. And that's one thing you're going to have in common with the cancer patients is like, okay, we've all been diagnosed with cancer, we definitely have that in common. But you live with the gratitude, like I said, and you stay in the present, and you just go forward, because you can't live in fear. And although it's so easy to get down that rabbit hole and just think, any test you do going forward or whatever is so scary, like the anxiety on a scan. Or for my case, I get a blood test every 3 months right now to detect my tumor tissue and any other cancer markers that may be lurking around. So every 3 months it comes around, it's like, oh gosh, this blood work, what's going to happen? And I have to take the tamoxifen every day. I call it the devil's tic tac, because the side effects of that medicine different for everybody, but they can be pretty rough. And the hot flashes that you put into medically induced menopause, and that's just a tough life. It's like people are checking in on you when you're going through your treatments and stuff, and it's been really emotionally hard for me on the other side,
Well,
because it's just
I,
like medically induced is just like you just put your body into a hurricane of menopause and all the things that go along with that. And then it's like you got the hot flashes, and there's like one medicine out here available that I can take because it's non-hormonal, and my cancer was driven by hormones, so I can't do anything else. So I just have to go with it.
it's so interesting. Your conversations have answered many of my questions that I've had, this is why I knew you would be the best person to talk to. If you could say one thing directly to the listeners today that would push them or to advocate for them to support Fishing for a Cure, what would it be?
The Fishing for the Cure has so many levels of the organizations, how it helps, and finding a cure for this breast cancer is huge. And just any donations that people can make to this organization to help others like me and the next person. Because, like I say, 1 in 8 women are diagnosed with this breast cancer. And, getting the diagnosis sucks, but, you always got to find something to be thankful for.
Well, I am thankful for you, Lindsay Rogers. You always bring so much joy into every conversation, and I can't thank you enough for speaking with us today, and I'm thrilled that you're a patient advocate. I can't think of anybody better to pair someone with during the journey. Your positive outlook and your energy just speaks volumes, and I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you. Because you have so many questions upon diagnosis. It's like, oh my gosh, who do I ask these questions to? So it's nice to have somebody that you can pick up the phone and call, text. They might never want to meet you in person, and that's fine. But I've talked to people, and I'm like, I'll come to your chemo appointment. I'll do whatever, like anything to help you along this, because you're not alone. And people don't know unless you've been there. I'm glad to do it.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. I know you've got to get back to work.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
You can follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, but the best place to find us is on our website that's been newly renovated, www.fishin, FISHIN, That's fishinforacure.com. And you can see our upcoming events and what we're all about, as well as links to our social media accounts.